Hello there everybody, Subbanner and welcome back to Tokyo Babel. Now then, let's start with romanticists? Okay. Anyway, let's just continue where we left off, I guess. We're going to head to the second stratum where Samael is waiting, I assume, obviously. And so I was fully prepared, although all I did was stuff the Bacati sword in the pocket dimension and pocket a couple of liquid nutrient packs. Good thing I didn't need to haul heavy cannons around, though I guessed it was unlikely such weapons would be much help against opponents in Tokyo Babel.
一応見届け人として私たちがついていくわよ。そのくらいはいいでしょ?
Sure, I don't care.
問題ないと思う。
体調はどう? 風邪ひいたりしてない?
まさか。
I was in perfect condition. I've never felt as connected to this world as I felt right now.
せつな、気をつけてね。
君の後頭部の敵を撃つよ。
ありが。あれ？なんかスケールちっちゃい。私の敵のスケールちっちゃい。
Raza took a step forward and clasped my hands.
ぜひ空見の後頭部の敵を撃ってほしい。あとできれば本について聞いておいてほしい。なんか私が不当に扱われている気がする。気にしなくていいわ。本当のことだから。
Not to mention it, you've had your screen time in, your route. This is Lilith's turn.
というわけでせつな、後頭部のみの敵を撃ってください。
Okay.
さて、せつなが申告した通り、今回私とラシエルは一切せつなを助けないわ。
Crystal clear.
いい顔ね。英雄の顔っぽいわ。
A hero. I cocked my head as Raziel too seemed to nod in agreement.
確かに英雄の顔をしている。
どんな顔なんだ?
Lilith traced her hand along my face.
戦いが終わった後に余裕があれば鏡でも見てみなさいな。それが英雄よ。
Whatever. It made me glad and bolstered my spirit to think Lilith actually expected me to return from the battle alive. Oh, we have ourselves quite a collective group here waiting for us. To my surprise, Lucifuge, Belial, Camille, and even Astaroth waited for us in front of the gates leading outside of Tokyo Babel.
いや何、見送りだよ。サマエルと戦い、戻ってくることができれば、それは大いなる前進だからね。
Astaroth patted my shoulder.
わずか3日とはいえ、人間ならば数十年に及ぶ技を叩き込んだ。生きる理由だなんだを云々する以前に、脆弱なれば話にならぬ。体は鍛えたね。
Lucifuge suddenly approached me too.
ああ、とりあえずサマエルによろしく伝えておいてくれや。生きてたんなら酒でもおごれと。
サマエルが生きているなら、僕は死んでいるということになるのだが。
あいつ殺しても死にそうにないから大丈夫だろう。
But people die when they're killed. He let out a hearty chortle and... chortle? Chortle. And patted my back, okay.
お前はお前でここで死ぬなんてもったいないことするなよ。
わかってます。
Camille approached me last, clutching my shoulders in both of his hands.
いいか、サマエルは絶対に倒せ。いいか、その理由を述べ。
どうぞ。
あの女は審査員の黒幕と目されている。俺の勘ではそうではないと思うが、それでも関わりがあるのは確実だ。できれば尋問して情報を得たいところだが、そうもいくまい。よってお前にはなるべく即死させないようにぶっ殺しつつ、遺言で黒幕を聞く程度の戦い方をお願いしたい。
Oddly specific.
よし、構える。悪いが、無茶を言っていることを自覚してほしい。
All I could wish for at the present moment was that it wouldn't be myself that had to think of good last words.
いいから出発だ。出発。
At a distance, slightly further away, there stood a pair of human shapes. They didn't seem to consider coming closer, content to watch us from afar. Adam and Eve. They didn't matter for the time being. I had no time to worry about how repulsed I felt towards that man now. Huh. I gave the two a slight bow and proceeded forward. Onward. I suppose that if I died, he would have to fight Samuel in my stead. That made me want to prevail even more. I wondered how Samuel felt. Did she wish to prevail? To survive the same as I did? I hope I'd have the time to confirm that with her before the fight, just in case. Ah, here we go. Sormi's face turned chalk white as soon as we reached the second stratum.
これはちょっと無理。
I couldn't blame Sormi for staggering. The place reeked, and it was not the still tolerable stench of mere garbage that filled it, but death, rotting flesh. It took barely a glance for us to recognize the place. It was the Tsukiji Market, known as the biggest fish marketplace in Japan. The tumult that used to pervade its bustling streets long gone, it had transformed into a ghost town. Only one thing still stood testament to its past wealth, and likely only due to Samuel's twisted courtesy. Between the buildings and on the streets, the entire place was littered with countless bodies, mountains of dead fish.
ごめん、無理。
As long as it's not on me, go right ahead and throw up. Sormi covered her mouth with her hand, but unable to fight the gagging reflex in the end, vacated the contents of her stomach. Raziel came closer to her and placed her hand on Sormi's mouth.
空気の膜を張っておく。これで少なくとも空気は平気のはず。見たものについてはもうどうしようもないが。
Oh, thanks.
楽になってきた。目をつむって水でも飲んでなさいな。せつな、あなたはまあ平気か。
I was pretty good at enduring bad smells. Still, too much of such a toxic miasma might have an adverse effect on my health. I ordered my nanomachines to promptly decompose whatever poisons entered my body.
なんとか復活できたけど、これはちょっと耐えられない。ひどいよね、これ。
She stood up, looking much better, though still hardly in perfect condition.
いけそう。なんとかオッケー。
Her step was still wobbly, but Raziel lent her a shoulder. Either way, I actually hoped Raziel would protect Sormi from accidental harm during battle, so I couldn't have wished for a better formation. Now then.
サマエル、いるなら出てきてくれ。
No response.
サマエル、頼むからさっさと出てきてくれ。このままだと空見がまた吐く。
そこで私を引き合いに出さないでくださる？嘘つき。
Oh! Sorry. Samuel appeared from the shadow of a building with a sulking expression on her face, giving me a look of raw animosity. She pointed her scythe at the three girls behind my back.
味方いるじゃん。しかも女子女。なんですか？ハーレム気取りですか？4対1なんて卑怯よ卑怯。
How's I supposed to reply to that?
よし、突っ込みたい部分が3つあるわよ。1つ、あんたの後ろにいる可愛らしいバジリスクについて何かコメントをよこしやがりなさい。2つ、女子ときてなぜ最後を女にしたのか、そしてその対象は誰なのか。
Probably you.
ラスト、ハーレムとは何事か。
Unfortunately, this is kind of a harem. Not really my most favorite subject, honestly. I had to agree with Lilith on that, especially on the last part.
刹那はたださんまとしているだけなのよ。
That doesn't make it better.
なお悪くなってるぞ。おい。
Exactly.
うわー、単美大敗美形ぶっててもやることやってんだ。打天使的にはちょっと好感度アップかも。
My head started to hurt.
僕から指摘させてもらう。彼女たちは立ち会い人だ。手出しはしないし、させない。もしどうしても嫌だと言うなら、この階層から出て行ってもらってもいい。
ああ、ごめん。そんなの分かってるよ。ちょっとからかいたかっただけだから。あんまり面白くないしね。
Sorry. Samuel gave me a cold
なんだ
glare.
かよくわからないが、すまない。
まあいいってことよ。それからこのバジリスクが気になるならもういっか。
The next moment, her scythe sliced through her own basilisk's neck. The beast fell dead then and there, only astonishment twisting its snout. Sormi and I were at a loss for words. The display of her childlike cruelty hit us like a hammer.
これでいいよね。
殺す必要があったのか。
邪魔だったんでしょ？
I appreciate the sentiment, but I felt my chest flare up for a split second. I grinded my teeth and squeezed my palms into fists.
殺さずともよかったはずだ。
そっちが邪魔だって言ったのに。
あんたのぶっ壊れた論理を受け入れるほどこっちはイカれちゃいないのよ。せつな、いいわね。
ああ。
I pulled the Bacati sword from the pocket dimension, and Samuel answered by readying her scythe with a smile.
よし、戦おう戦おう戦おう。
Okie dokie. I wanted to say something, but I couldn't bring myself to. I carried Veliel's message, but I didn't feel like talking to her anymore. The way she killed her own pet with no hesitation whatsoever irked my heart to no end. We were opponents in a deadly duel. It shouldn't have mattered what she did or did not do at this point. Indeed, still I couldn't contain my irritated heart.
どうして？どうしてそんな顔をするの？
I could hear a hint of sadness in her voice. Sadness? Why would she be sad?
なんでもない。気にするな。全く問題ない。さあ。
She gave me a hesitant nod. I let out a sigh of relief as I felt the three behind me take their distance. I didn't know why, but I myself seemed to feel sad about the whole affair, and that sadness had now taken the form of irritation and anger.
毒と死の打天使、そそのかす毒蛇、サマエル、お相手するよ。
Okay.
君の言葉を借りるならば、神のご臓器、天道節慎んでお相手する。
Our words like magic dispelled the odd, thorny atmosphere that had overtaken the air. Forgetting my distracting feelings for now, I concentrated on observing the movement of her hands and feet. Her eyes suddenly turned to those of a serpent. Here she comes. The giant scythe shot at me at an ungodly speed, intending to cleave me in half. I tried parrying the monstrous weapon, but the shock as our weapons clashed pushed me backwards. No, flung me aside. Letting out a piercing metallic howl, the scythe jerked at me again. From a third person's perspective, the spectacle might have come off as stunning. A giant scythe painting beautiful arcs through the air. Unfortunately, each of those arcs aimed for my vitals. I had to parry every single deadly swing to save my life. I had no time to admire the spectacle. The moment I stopped in my tracks would be the moment I'd have to say goodbye to my body parts. It pierced the air quick as lightning. It raged like a tempest. Still, it was all a performance. Samuel herself seemed to be fully aware of the fact, a mischievous smile coloring her lips. Performance or not, though, it would soon turn into a spectacle of death if I took but a pause to take a single breath.
だらだらチャンバラやってても飽きるな。その武器の獣を見せてよ。さあさあさあ。
I decided to answer her call, hoping to finally move on to the offensive.
嫉妬の罪を情念にして怨念の不肉は鎖となり、汝が愛する全てを縛り付けろ。
Rotten guts shot out from thin air as I swung my sword, pursuing Samael.
グロテスクだな。ならばこちらも永遠の愛を歌え、セミラミス。
The edge seemed to separate from the scythe, transforming Samuel's weapon into a staff, which she pointed at me. It seemed to have been hollow inside, like a pipe. An odd liquid of sorts suddenly gushed out from it. I realized that I had no time to dodge, so I opted to create a barrier around myself with air magic instead. Raining down on the rotten chains and the ground, the liquid disintegrated everything it came in touch with in the blink of an eye, emitting some sort of peculiar gas.
私は王水をラッパ飲みして VX ガスの中で深呼吸することすら可能だけど、お兄さんはどうかな？
I'd be dead in a heartbeat. Well, actually I might survive for longer than an average man, and if I was really lucky, I might come out of the predicament alive. Though probably traumatized for life.
世界最古の毒、極上にして最悪なこの大気、どうぞ呼吸器官と肌と目で味わってくれるかな？
慎んでお断りする。
I readied the Bacati sword.
憤怒の罪を。
Blue flame erupted from my weapon. Melting into the poisonous air, it made the sky flare up in an explosion.
勝負は外だ。
Samuel shot up into the sky, crashing through the roof of the building like a cannonball. I followed her. The dark gray clouds, that might as well be called black at this point, blanketed the sky.
ペッカーティーの剣欲しいな。
Samuel insisted with a voice sweet and childlike.
いいよと言いたいところだが、これはもともと別の天使の持ち物だ。僕が許可を出せる筋合いではない。
そっか。じゃあ奪っちゃおうっと。お兄さんとのささやかな思い出の品物としてさ。
人を勝手に思い出にしないでもらいたいな。
I kicked off the air and lunged towards her. Samuel, meanwhile, discarded her staff and clapped her hands as if praying.
聖堂と灼熱の蛇。
Oh, a giant snake of flames manifested out of thin air with a tremendous blast of magic following in its wake. It lunged at me, opening its jaws to swallow me whole. With no time to dodge, I had to counterattack instead.
日のかぐ土。
Of course it's Kagutsuchi. Fuck. I uttered the keyword and my body was overtaken by flames. If the thing swallowed me, I'd of course die, regardless of whether I had my own flame to soften the experience. But as long as I wasn't in its belly, my trick seemed to provide me with enough protection to stand the heat for now. The effect of my Hino Kagutsuchi was temporary at best, but it still gave me enough time to get out of the serpent's way and launch a counterattack. The snake's body whizzed centimeters away from my left side. I grasped its fiery scales with one hand and readied my sword in the other. Nice pun, bro. With that, I jumped on the back of the flying snake and darted forward, stepping on its scales as if they were solid ground.
竹にかずち。
My motions accelerated tenfold. Samuel lost her composure for the first time in this battle, letting out a cry. My feet trampled the back of the snake at lightning speed, tearing off scales in their wake. I combined the electricity raging in my veins with magic and boosted my speed to an incredible threshold, using it to close in on Samuel in less than a heartbeat.
もらった。
I vaulted towards her, brandishing my sword. I chose to swing it at her directly instead of summoning a beast. A triumphant smile
もらった。
spread on Samuel's lips. She extended her arms in a wide arc, and something manifested out of thin air behind her back. It appeared out of nowhere, as if having been veiled by camouflage. A bronze serpent! Yet it swallowed Samuel, not myself.
No.
Alt? My head couldn't keep up with the situation. For starters, I decided to put some distance between us, which proved to be a fatal mistake. Is that ALT supposed to be there? The flaming snake whose back I trampled waited for me behind my back. It bit into my leg. I almost lost consciousness as I felt something molten hot enter my bloodstream. It didn't paralyze me, it only seemed to accelerate me further. The sensation was akin to forcing a car whose max speed had been 100 kilometers per hour to run at 500. The shock was so strong as to make me forget the concept of walking, of how to put one foot after the other. The only thing I didn't forget was to hang on tight to the Picati sword.
いただきます。
The warped voice of a girl reached me from behind the jaws of the beast. It probably belonged to Samuel, but I had no idea where she was hiding. My sight and thoughts accelerated beyond reasonable thresholds only made my head even more confused. I had to do something.
これでもう二人きりだね。
Did I just get swallowed? Someone's calling for me. God damn it. Calm down. Hold your thoughts for a bit. Right now they were only swirling in chaos with no concrete direction in sight. It didn't matter where this was. It didn't matter what kind of place this was. The only thing that mattered was that I was fighting Samuel right now, in the present situation. God damn it. My thoughts still swirled in a loop, like a frenzied tempest. The speed of my accelerated brain and its refusal to slow down proved to be the very reason I felt unable to grasp the situation. A contradiction, if I ever heard one.
ここは蛇のお腹の中。もたもたしているとドロドロに溶けてしまうんだよ、お兄さん。
And you're telling me that this because... Something landed on me. Her laugh reverberated across the fleshy walls. My brain proceeded to analyze the mechanics of the reverberation I stopped it. I had to slow my thoughts down somehow. Venom, yes, venom. I rallied all my nanomachines together and sent them to purify the poison that the flaming snake injected me with.
ねえお兄さん。お兄さんを食べさせてよ。むしゃむしゃさせてよ。ねえってば。
No. A charming, bewitching proposal. A shudder ran down my spine, not from her words, but from my own wish to obey them. I wished to melt and finally cease thinking. It would be wonderful. Finally being able to put those swirling thoughts to a halt would probably feel like being in heaven. Think for yourself. Whose words were those? Who? Right. A demon lord told me that once. Asteroid. He told me to think. Even if I couldn't quite grasp the answer immediately, he told me to keep thinking until the day I die. And so I decided to do so. Decided to ponder the meaning of my life. The reason why I was alive. My race on dare. For a split second, my mind grew clear. Not letting the chance go, I ordered my nanomachines to secrete the antibody for the snake's venom. Little by little, I regained control over my mind.
いいでしょいいよねお兄さんだからいただきます
A long red tongue slithered out of Samuel's mouth. Wait. I still a little bit more and... Samuel opened her eyes wide. It seemed I managed to neutralize most of the venom in my body. I felt drowsy and numb, but I could finally move somewhat.
君と一体化するのも溶け合うのもまっぴらごめんだ。僕は僕、天道刹那だ。君の一部になる気などない。
I swung my Picati sword at her, still prone. Due to my body still being quite numb, my sword cut the air at hardly half its usual speed. For if I managed to swing it like normal, I would have separated her head from her body. Instead, she dodged my attack, suffering only a light scratch on her cheek. Putting some distance between us, she considered me with astonishment.
毒が効いてない嘘ミドガルゾールムの毒をわざわざ持ち込んできたっていうのに
毒は所詮毒に過ぎない。毒は薬と表裏一体だ。毒を取り込んだ瞬間、同時にそれは薬となりうる。
That is if you don't die from the initial shock. If I didn't manage to regain control of my thoughts, I would likely be melting in the snake's stomach juices right now.
だけど、ここは東京バベルだ。生きるべき意志は、ほんの少しの奇跡を引き起こすんだろう。
嘘だよお兄さんお兄さんはただとんでもない体を持っているってだけナノマシーンだっけそれも原因でしょ生きるべき意志なんて嘘っ
Samuel laughed my statement off, yet her countenance felt forced, making her words ring empty.
なぜ？
だってお兄さんは私と同じはずだもん
Her voice fell to almost a whisper.
同じはず生きるべき意志も理由もないはずそうでなきゃいけないの
I stabbed the Picati sword into the fleshy ground, ignoring the roars of the bronze snake. I cut its belly apart. And I answered her with frankness that surprised even myself.
確かに。僕には生きるべき理由が未だに与えられない。だが、少なくとも探そうとは思っている。トローに終わって、くだらない理由でも構わない。僕は生きてみたい。死にたいと願う。君とは違う。
The last part was only my conjecture, but it seemed to hit the nail on the head.
どうしてそんな目をするのよどうして生きたいなんて願うのよあんなに辛い人生なのに
Samuel rubbed her face in frustration like a little child and grabbed hold of her bronze serpent. The giant snake vanished instantly.
嫌だ天道刹那なんか大嫌い
She flew into the sky as if running away from me. I chose to pursue her, even though I knew she was still stronger than me. Screaming curses, she pierced through the sky and vanished beyond, into the outer area of Tokyo Babel. And so I too followed her there. The place hadn't changed one bit from the time I glimpsed it in Ginza. A giant metal object that defied the common sense of physical laws floating atop the water of a boundless sea, and a sky stretching seemingly forever up. Heaven above, hell below. This place had no world for mortals.
しつこいな今日はもういいでしょ
She welcomed me with an annoyed look. I couldn't help but cock my head at the obvious lack of her usual vitality.
そういうわけにもいかない。決着をつけるべきだ。
無駄だよ、無駄無駄。だって私は死なないし、死を超越し、死を拒絶し、死を支配したのがこの私、サマエルだよ。
She snickered to herself and opened her arms in a wide arc.
殺せるものなら殺してみてよ。お兄さんのレゾンデートルでさ。
With that, something terrifying occurred.
なんだ
The sea surface ruptured. Oh, Leviathan. A giant wall of blackened barrel blocked the vision of my astonished eyes. No, wait. This is no wall, it was alive. Humans tend to be struck by awe when exposed to things larger than themselves. And so I, despite only being part human, had been positively awestruck by the incredible sight. Skyscrapers, while huge, were at least inanimate, and so humans can make peace with their grand existence. But this thing that rivaled the highest of skyscrapers that I had ever seen filled my heart full of terror with its mere existence. I grew more aghast as I heard her words. Leviathan, the giant serpent that ruled the seas prior to creation. A demon that could go toe-to-toe with Astaroth in strength, although maybe he was more of a beast than a demon.
やけに騒がしいと思ってきてみれば、サマエルとは驚いた。
Samuel regarded the serpent with distrust.
リヴァイアさん、まさか君がどちらかに手を貸すなんてことは言わないだろうね。
言わんわい。わしはたとえ世界が全て滅んだとしても、お前たちの戦いに手を出さん。それがわしが生きるために課せられた罪であり、罰であり、報酬だ。
だよね、よかった。
Samuel let out a sigh of relief, and I very much felt like doing the same.
出てきたのはサマエル。お前に一つ伝えておかなければならないことがあったからだよ。
Huh?
私に
死を超越し、死を拒絶し、死を支配したのが自分だと。
それがどう
Samuel's features grew grim. I couldn't comment on Leviathan's expression as I couldn't see his face, but his voice was peaceful and deliberate, with a hint of sadness and care as if he was trying not to prod Samuel too hard.
だが、お主はそうではない。そのはずがないのだ。
なんでそんなこと言うのさ。
わしが知るお主はとうの昔に死んでいる。わしはお主の死体を引き上げ、弔ってやったからな。
Oh, okay. Gonna have a bit of an identity crisis here, Samuel? What? Samuel opened her mouth in a daze.
だから思っていたよ。お前はどうして東京バベルで暗躍しているのかと。
待ってよ、待てってば。何言ってるのよ。私は私、サマエルだって。
お主がサマエルであるということはわしにもよくわかる。だから不思議で不思議で仕方ない。
This is a dramatic shift.
サマエル、お主は震災前に幾度殺されても滅びなかった。死んだ瞬間、死体は蛇の皮のようになって崩れ去り、どこからともなく復活し続けた。悪魔には多かれ少なかれ蛇の要素を含むものが多い。中でもお主はまさに蛇そのものと言ってもいいだろう。だが震災以降全ては変わり果てた。お主と同じように不死に近い存在だったはずの天使や悪魔がことごとく死に絶えた。なのに
This has got to be a royal little shock to Samuel.
お主は蘇った。聞かせてほしいな、サマエル。お主はいつどうやって蘇っている。
それはいつもと同じで、いつもといつもといつもはいつも同じ。死んだらなんとなく目覚めるの。ただそれだけ。
そうか。
What looked like Leviathan's throat wriggled. There was something going on with his face above me, although I could barely make it out at this distance. Eventually something landed down on the ground before Samuel and me. It was a giant split tongue, blue as an amethyst. And there was something else wrapped within it. Was that a...
棺桶
Oh. Samuel and I drew closer to the object. Samuel, pale to her lips, shivered like a small animal.
サマエル
違うよ。こんなのただの棺桶。怖いわけない。怖くない。怖くない。怖くない。
Her teeth still chattering, she opened the lid and peered inside. Whoa. We gasped simultaneously. Inside the coffin rested Samuel as promised, her countenance serene as if in the middle of a prayer. Only a crimson stain around the area of her heart betrayed her passing. It looked like she had been murdered. Her legs drained of strength, Samuel fell to her knees. How would her body remain if she had been resurrecting? Who was this inside the coffin? And who was she herself?
どうして私が死んでるの？ありえない。こんなありえない。
サマエル
A soothing voice reached us from above, but Samuel refused to listen.
私は誰？一体誰なの？私がサマエルじゃないなら、私は一体何のために生きて、何のために誰かを憎んできたの？
Forgetting the battle, forgetting we were about to kill each other, the girl kneeled in front of her own body and cried. I couldn't imagine how it felt, realizing that you weren't yourself. Even I had no experience of such a situation, more cruel than despair and heavier on one's soul than madness. Leviathan seemed unable to find words to console her. The girl on her knees refused all contact. If we left her like this, she would most likely remain on her knees until she withered away. I could tell that all of her will, all of her vigor had vacated her soul. She would die, and I would remain. A perfect conclusion to our battle as far as I should have been concerned. A perfect conclusion.
サマエル
I addressed her in an ice-cold tone. She raised her face, still shivering, and uttered my name in a hoarse voice. I knew what she was trying to say. What should I do now? Help me. And so I chose to make the first move instead.
ダメだ僕は君を助けない君は一人で誰にも頼らず自分の意志で立ち上がり僕と向き合え
Ignoring Samuel's gasp, I continued.
サマエルは死んだだがそれがどうした君がサマエルであろうがなかろうが今僕と敵対し戦っているのは間違いなく君だろう
What was I trying to say?
だったら少なくとも君が生きている理由は存在する君は僕を殺すために今を生きているそれが嫌なら死んでしまえばいい
Samuel fell silent for a moment or two, then gave a mischievous grin and stood up herself, without anybody's help.
ひどいやつだね。お兄さんは。
I think the one who put you through this shit is probably the more cruel one.
そうだな多分僕はひどいやつだ
うん。わかった。わかったよ。お兄さん。殺してあげる。そうじゃないか。殺してやる。
Huh. You know what the sad part is? This makes me wish that there was a Samuel route. I could feel the killing intent behind her words. That was how it should be. The two of us could give birth to something only through battle and murder.
僕はもとよりそのつもりだ
Samuel, finally relaxing somewhat, opened her arms wide and curtsied. A peaceful smile colored her lips.
お兄さん本当にありがとう。
行くよ。
Honestly, though, why should... I know it's a promise to battle and all that, but wouldn't... Damn it. Oh, okay. Both of us flew upward at the same time and clashed against each other under the boundless sky. My fist crashed into her face and hers into my stomach. I nearly lost consciousness from the raw power of her blow.
生きてるよね。
Samuel laughed, tears trickling down her cheeks, blood caking her lips. I hit her and she hit me back. A simple exercise, but each hit would set our nervous system ablaze from raw pain that would seep all the way into our bones, tearing our muscles apart on the way. I put my all into beating her to death, and so did she.
大丈夫。生きてる。私お兄さんのこと大好き。
いいや、君が死ねばいい。
Samuel stopped in place. Taking some distance from me, she unrolled her fists. Her hands had by now turned crimson from my blood. She uttered something obvious with awe wash on her face. I nodded.
そう。死ぬのはとても恐ろしい。
I had embraced the idea of dying any day if my mission required it, but that didn't mean I actually transcended the fear of death itself. I steeled my heart to embrace reality for what it was. I struggled to veil my fear with the cloth of effort, and tried to make peace with my fate. That was all there was to it.
嫌だな。死ぬのってこんなに嫌で不安で。
だから死にたくないと願うんだ。
Unfair end, unfair power. Tokyo Babel and cruel deaths went hand in hand.
分かった。私がどれほどひどいことをしてきたのか改めてよく理解できた。
See, this is why I would honestly prefer to, like, team up or something, but... Samuel's voice was full of sorrow.
そうだ。
It didn't matter if one was good or evil, all valued their own lives. Only beings that desired complete ruination of everything didn't. At that point, they probably ceased being evil. They returned to nothing. Zero.
私がサマエルじゃなかったとしても私がサマエルとして成したことがきっとある。だからお兄さんの前で最後まで悪を狩ろう。
感謝する。そして僕は君を悪と弾劾する。
Confessing herself evil, she faced my condemnation head on. Samuel was without doubt very much alive in the midst of battle.
私がお兄さんにあげられるものは
Samuel raised her right arm into the sky.
犬たちを冷たい息で吠えたてる。果実を呪い神を呪い罪と咎を導く者。我が名は毒。原初にして終焉の毒。万物すべてに苦悶の死を注ぎ込まん。
The giant scythe materialized back into her right hand.
この大釜のどこでも触れれば死ぬ。触れなければ死ぬ。わかりやすいよね、お兄
そうだな。
さん。安全部分は私が握っている部分。そこ以外を触れれば私も死ぬ。今までは違ったけど今回からは死ぬ。
I could tell her hand shook slightly. She too was obviously scared.
自分でもバカだなって思ってる。間抜けな死に様を晒すかもなぁとも思う。
She gave me a smile. A death comedic from the eyes of a third party was no less terrifying to those of the first. And I doubted anyone would have liked for their death to be used as a joke. Everyone wished people to lament them with tears of sorrow, or anger if the former was not applicable, but not tears of laughter. Still, Samuel seemed to be fine even if her end turned out to be a comedy.
お兄さんも
I pulled the Bacchani's sword from the pocket dimension. paralyzed situation. If it grazed me, I'd die. If it as much touched me, I'd die. A single strike would mean my certain demise. So that was Samuel's strongest weapon. The road to victory was simple. I simply had to evade every attack. However, upset by her howl and the notion of palpable death flying at me, I jumped back much farther than I intended to. Over 500 meters separated us now. She was but a grain on the horizon. It was only thanks to my nanomachines that I could still make her out in the distance. Bouncing myself on the diagonal wall, I grew irritated at my own cowardice.
怖いの怖いよね。死ぬことは戦うことは怖くて怖くてたまらない。
She opened a telepathic link with me, and she was right. Indeed, I was scared of death. I was scared of fighting. And that was why I had to transcend that fear, steel my heart so I could put a step beyond the line of certain death, or I would never reach tomorrow.
行くぞ。
I grinded my teeth, biting through fear, and lunged forward. I had no certainty that this would succeed. If I had, I would have had nothing to be scared about to begin with. 400 meters separated us. Samuel didn't move. It probably took all of her will to hold that scythe of certain death. 300 meters separated us. I had a plan, but only God, no, probably not even him, knew if it would prove successful. 200 meters separated us. Alright, it was about time to put my design into motion. Rushing through the sky like a rocket, I readied the Picatti's sword, pointing its tip directly at her.
堂々なき富を持ちて永劫の眠りにいざない。
Molten gold erupted from the tip of my sword. It fell on Samuel like slime given life.
こんなもの。
She sliced it in half in a single hit. The molten gold evaporated in poisonous
無
fumes.
生物だろうとなんだろうとこの刃の前に敵はない。
I heard her shout something. I couldn't see her because I had my back to her. The fumes seemed to have successfully taken her vision away for now. If she took but a single step forward to skip the fuzzy veil, she'd understand what I was trying to do in a heartbeat. The most important part of my plan was not letting her witness the starting point of my move. Praying for luck, I threw the Picatti sword up into the sky above.
傲慢の罪よ。己の歪んだプライドで全てを見下し、全てを拒絶する銀の獅子となり、僕を拒絶しろ。
Okay. With a terrifying howl, the silver line sent me flying towards Samuel. An incredible sight awaited Samuel as she finally cut through the fumes. 200 meters separated us. Breaking the barrier of sound, I covered the distance in less than a second. But Samuel was no regular being. In the split second available to her, she saw through my action and unconsciously readied herself for a counterattack. Her scythe flew through the air in a perfect arc to make my lightning advance. Yet still, even the most perfect of plans had an Achilles heel. Samuel considered me with awestruck eyes as I popped up in front of her bosom like a ghost. Perfect swings never came in twos, and were easy to predict. I never let my guard down. I knew she'd be able to counterattack, even if I lunged at her at a speed faster than that of sound. Even if under normal circumstances there was hardly a 1% probability for her to pull such a feat, I still believed she would make it. And so I proceeded with my dodging maneuver as soon as I saw the fingers clutching her scythe move. Oh. I clasped her wrist. She jumped back instinctively, trying to pull her hand out, and the next moment her scythe flew into the air.
アイキ驚いたでしょ。
Apparently, she finally realized that that was her own technique, the one she showed me back on the roof. I wonder if that was why. She smiled as I flung her.
痛いか。
頭がクラクラするけど痛くはない。
Her own scythe grazed her shoulder as she fell. It seemed she ended up meeting a comedic end after all.
うわー、間抜けだな。自分が調子こいて見せた技のせいで殺されるなんて。
少々嫌みすぎたか。
Samuel gave me a nod with a smile.
嫌味だ嫌味。お兄さんも悪趣味だ。
それには同意しよう。
I clasped her hand.
いいの？毒が感染するかも。
君が僕の立場だったら、君は間違いなく こうしてくれただろう。
Samuel made a bashful smile.
うん正解多分こうしたと思う
Her hand was small and delicate. I felt as if I would crush it if I only added a bit of strength into my grasp. That hand belonged not to a fallen angel that traversed this world for thousands of years, but to a girl that had only been alive for a few, if even that long.
こういう時ってさ人の手って温かいって感じるはずだよね
そうだな。
おかしいな冷たくてたまらないや冷たくて寒くて
暖かくしてみるか。
うんこのままでいいや不自然なのは嫌いなんだ不自然だらけだったから今くらいは自然のままでいたい
Samuel let out a deep breath and fixed her eyes on the distance of the deep sky.
リヴァイアさんありがとう
礼を言われることなどしとらんがわし。
君が偽物だって言ってくれたおかげで私はようやく本物になれたんだ
I couldn't quite tell the intricacies of serpent countenances, but I imagined Leviathan wore a mixed expression.
それから刹那もごめんね変なことに付き合わせてさ
Her expression took on an apologetic air, but I shook my head and answered with a question instead.
楽しかったか。
そうだね結構楽しかったかな刹那と殺し合うのはなんか恋みたいにドキドキした
そうか。
短い人生だけど最後の最後で充実したし悪くない人生だったかな
Why is there that alt there again? I realized her legs had turned to the color of ash. Was that the venom doing its work?
痛くないか。痛いなら
とどめを刺してくれるって大丈夫全然痛くないからこんなのこれっぽっちも痛くないや
Then I had nothing else I could do. Even if what she had said to me was a lie, I didn't have the right to do anything with her situation as long as she herself didn't wish it.
それにしてもさ一体私は何だったんだろうね自分のことをサマエルと思い込んでいただけの小悪魔かなんかだったのかない
や、君はサマエルで間違いないだろ
そう
う。忘れては困る。君は幾度となく他の天使や悪魔の前に姿を現したはずだ。そして誰からも偽物呼ばわりはされなかっただろう。
そういやそっかでも私が死んだってこともきっと間違いないよだって本来の私はもっと強かったはずなのお兄さんなんかきっと外周一色だったんだからね
Of that I have no doubt.
ならば君は僕と一緒なのかもしれない。
お兄さんと
おそらく君はサマエルを望んだ誰かが作り出したレプリカなのだろう。
Samuel blinked a few times in surprise and then gave me an understanding nod.
ああそっかそうだよな私なんでそんな簡単なことに気づかなかったんだろうな
仕方ないだろう。誰も自分が誰かのレプリカなどと考えるはずない。
あのね刹那一つだけお願いがあるの
What's up?
なんだ。
私がレプリカだってことはさ他にもいるかもしれないよね
If the previous routes weren't a, tell of that, yes, there are. I gave her a nod. Such a possibility was indeed high. It would make sense to mass-produce replicas as long as they weren't overly complicated to make. Not to mention, she probably mistook the changing of her model for resurrection.
次はさ、殺し合わないことにしようよ。私も頑張ってお兄さんのことを覚えるから。仲良くなろう。
There was a very hard-to-define hint of forlornness in her words. Seeing her like this made me agree unconditionally with a nod.
わかった。
Ah, damn it! She coiled her pinky finger around mine.
指切り剣は嘘ついたらハリセンボ
She fell silent. Her pinky trembled, unable to proceed with the action. She no longer had the strength to withdraw the finger to finalize the promise.
心配するな、サマエル。また会おう。また会えるさ。
I knew I was only trying to fool her. Even if there were multiple replicas as I suspected, it didn't mean that they were in any way the same as the girl that was currently dying in front of my eyes. Still, it seemed my attempt at comforting her brought her some peace in the end.
指切った。
She drew her finger away from mine.
じゃあお兄さんバイバイ。
With a hint of bashfulness in her voice, she closed her eyes. And before I could blink once, her body turned to dust. After a few moments of hesitation, I decided to scatter her remains to the sea.
次のサマエルは自分がレプリカだということに気づいただろうか。
Leviathan's idle utterance fell on me with the volume of thunder.
気づいてくれているとありがたい。
改めて自己紹介させてもらおう。魔王リヴァイアさん。東京バベルはサイズが合わんのでな。こうして水没した地獄を泳いでおる。
That was what you got for being a giant serpent.
僕の名は天道刹那という。よろしく。それで地上はやはり無理なのか。
無理無理。干からびちまうわい。
それでリヴァイアさん、一つ聞きたいことがある。
おう、なんじゃ。
The giant serpent seemed to boast a surprisingly amicable personality. He was supposed to be a ferocious beast inhabiting the primordial seas, but according to the scripture, he also carried the role of helping Raziel in her search for her book, appearing then by the name of Rahab.
サマエルを殺したのは。
ああ、殺したのはアスタロトだか。
Aha! I froze for a moment.
本当か。
嘘をついてどうする。あの男はお前と同じくここでサマエルと戦った。当然そちらの方が激戦だったがな。
I supposed it was. A fight between the crowned prince of hell and the fallen angel of venom and death must have made for quite a bloody spectacle.
ともあれ、アスタロトが勝負を決め、サマエルの心臓を貫き、死体を海に放り捨てた。
あなたはアスタロトに見つからなかったのか。
ギリギリな。深く深く潜っていた上に濁った海中から外を見通せるのはわしくらいのものじゃろう。
しかしアスタロトか。彼は今僕たちが住むパンドラのトップなんだが。
だからここで天使や悪魔を見かけても伝えることはできなんだ。敵。
Astroth killed Samiel and discarded her body to the sea. Yet after the fact, her replicas continued to run rampant and cause chaos all over Tokyo Babel. Why didn't he tell anyone about that? Both me and everyone else fought them, thinking them to be the real thing.
リヴァイアさん、一つ聞かせてほしい。僕はリリスに召喚され、巡礼の命を受けた。天使と悪魔が一致団結し、目指す目的があるというのは多少キーにも見えたが、現状を考慮すれば 当然の理屈だ。戦うべきものが存在せず、双方が戦う義務も理由もないのだから。だがしかし、
アスタロトが敵対する必然性が見出せないということかな。
I nodded. It didn't make sense for Astaroth to go out of his way to conceal Samuel's passing, unless it was an action born out of ill will towards us.
この巡礼には僕たちが知らない何かがある。
ではと、そもそも巡礼とは何だ？
東京バベル全7階層を踏破し、天国の門を開く。そうすれば
Everything would sort itself out. That was what we had been told.
解決などするものか。もとより天から天使を追放し、地獄を水没させた者は我らが想像しよう。
Leviathan nonchalantly pointed out the real culprit of the divine calamity.
それは薄々分かっていたが、
Everyone did, but chose to turn a blind eye to the truth instead. Even if Samuel had triggered the event in the first place, our creator too must have been involved somehow. For it was impossible he would have watched the calamity unfold and sit idly by. I don't know, have you seen how the world's looking around? Oh shit, I'm probably pissing off a lot of religious people. The multiverse fell apart. Heaven shut its gates, and even hell got flooded. How could the very top god of this world remain silent under such circumstances? Did he truly go mad? Or was this another one of his tests?
だが神のメッセージを受け取るという天使が巡礼をせよとそう告げたのだろう。
That was why everyone could believe in the concept. For them, who had not but impending destruction before them, the notion of the pilgrimage turned out to be like a lone beacon of hope. Sanctuary in the darkness.
メッセンジャーレミエル。レミエルだのラジエルだの、あいつら天使の名前はどうにもややこしいの。
You know what? Leviathan brings up a pretty damn good point. A lot of the demon names are, different. Ramiel, Camiel, Raziel, Raphael. Eels, a lot of eels. I had to agree with that notion. The only angels whose name didn't end with L that I could think of was Sandalphon. What about Metatron?
まあそれはともかく、メッセンジャーだけでは彼らも全面的な信頼をしなかっただろう。巡礼を第一優先事項としつつも他の道を模索したはずだ。
But from what I've seen, it seemed like everyone opted to do their pilgrimages seriously in the end, as if there had been no alternatives.
なぜそうしなかった？
メッセンジャーだけではない。もう一人神からのメッセージを授かったと主張する大天使がいた。
大天使？
名をミカエル。誰よりも神を愛し、神のそばにいた純朴な少年であり、全天使の頂点に君臨した大天使だ。
ミカエルがメッセージを受け取ったと主張したのか。ならばやはり間違いではない。
本当にそう思うか？
I fell silent. The message of Michael and Messenger that set everyone on the path of a pilgrim. If it was a lie, if it was warped by some ill will along the way, it would make the struggles of all people that trod the soil of Tokyo Babel before me meaningless. I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe it, but the fact that Astaroth kept silent about the whole Samuel situation despite apparently knowing everything filled my chest with anxious suspicion.
そろそろわしは行く。ここでの会話をアスタロトに気取られるような真似はするなよ。
Considering he's a great demon lord, I highly doubt I'm going to be able to hide that from him.
ああ、わかっている。ありがとう、リヴァイアさん。
わしの言葉はお前を惑わせただけかもしれんがな。
Ah, don't worry about it.
それでも間違ったままの道を歩くよりはいいと思う。利用されるのはいい。使い潰されても構わない。でも間違えるのだけは嫌だ。
I could feel a small change take place inside me after speaking with Astaroth and later fighting Samael. I didn't want to merely fight and die, having learned nothing. I wished to analyze the logic of things and the reason for their being. I wanted to make myself believe in the path I had trod through clear rationale rather than blind belief.
また会いに来い。 わしもいろいろと考えてみよう。
With that, the serpent's humongous frame disappeared into the depths of the sea. Seeing him off, I returned to Tokyo Babel through the space that Samuel had pried open in the metallic wall of the fortress. I carefully returned the tile back to its place behind me. It slid right to where it should have been, and the peculiar hole in the sky vanished from the inside of Tokyo Babel. In any case, with this, the second stratum to Tokyo Babel had been cleared.
おお、戻ってきた戻ってきた。
And that's where I'm going to end it. Congratulations, Tokyo Babel. You made me really, really like Samuel. Good job. Good on you, Tokyo. Damn it. Kind of wish there was like memory. I wish there was memory transference between the Samuel replicas, honestly. But unfortunately, that is where I'm going to end it. So if you guys like this, be sure to let me know. I wonder how many more episodes we have of this. We've come quite a long way on this. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.